as the engine goes for this Dart, we have a little problem. So here is the kit engine, and it's supposed to be a 340, 360. Well, you can see next to an actual 346 pack from, I believe it's an AMT kit. Anyway, it's from that newer Duster. You can see that it is way undersized, and there's no way I can use this POS in the Dart. So I could put the 346 pack in it, but I actually want to use this for something else. So I may be putting a 440 in it. I'm just not 100% sure yet what exactly I'm going to do, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it here. As far as the tires and wheels for the chassis, what I've decided to do is I have these Kelsey Hayes that I have made resin copies of. As you can see, I've made some resin casts from I believe it was the Mercury Comet kit. The old Johann kit is where I believe I got those. Anyway, so here they are, painted gloss black with Testors Model Master acrylic gloss black, and we're going to coat it here real quick with this Alclad chrome. Again, you spray this at about 10 psi and just put a very light coat on. So we'll see how that turns out. Usually it's very, very good. And then over here to the chassis, we've done some work on it already to get it prepared for tires and wheels. I've decided to go with tires from the 68 Dodge Charger kit, and I had to get in my spares box to get some pins that would work on the suspension. And then honestly, I don't know where these tires came from. They come in several of the old kits, but I have actually resin cast those as well. And I have several copies. This is a bad one, but I have several copies that I could use. So anyway, that's what we're going to go with, is the Kelsey Hayes mags. We're going to give this an early 1980s look. And here's the chassis so far. We've got a bit of work to do still. So I've decided to go ahead and put the 346 pack that I have into this particular model. And to start out, I have to remove this area of what used to be part of a transmission that's molded into the frame. So I'm going to get rid of that, and then we're going to build the 346 pack. So here's the finished engine and engine compartment, and there's a couple little things I'd point out here. This engine, or this battery, came from the AMT Duster kit, and I went ahead and put power steering on. This came from a 440 that I had. I built this little panel in here to replicate the kind of panel that would go between the radiator and the grill. So this was all scratch built. I went ahead and put that 346 pack engine from the AMT Duster in here, and I added the little vent tube that goes here to the air cleaner, and I also added the one on the passenger side that goes around to the back of the carburetors. Now, I haven't wired this engine, and I probably won't, but you never know. But for right now, I'm going to call that engine done. I did have to custom make a radiator hose for it because I couldn't get anything to quite fit right. And you can see that the fuel log on the 6-pack is painted. So there you go. There's the engine and the engine compartment in this. I think it turned out pretty well. Doesn't look too bad. I've weathered it up a little bit with some of Larry's bath water, and I think it turned out pretty good. We painted the interior mostly with Mission Models Primer Black, and it gives it kind of this semi-gloss look to the upholstery. I think it turned out pretty decent. Then I used Testors Gloss Black in the Model Master acrylic line for the dashboard. And then we took some red and did this part of the dashboard. And I decided to add kind of a neat little trim, like a custom upholstery look to the seats by just a really thin piping line of red. I think it kind of dresses up the interior. I really want to go for that 1980s look. What I would have had if this would have been my car back in the 80s, and if I would have had the money to put into upholstery and whatnot. The kit supplied shifter. The problem with it is that when you take it off of the tree, it takes a great big chunk out of the chrome. So I had to recover this with that chrome pin, and as you can see, it worked out pretty good. So there is our interior tub. Well, here we are with the finished product on the Dodge Dart Sport, the 1975. And you'll see that I decided to put some stripes on the side that are very similar to what they had in 1975. In fact, the main difference was I only put 2 stripes, or a split stripe, where the actual stripe was, I think, 3 stripes all put together there. So it's very, very similar. Kind of like the look, kind of that 70s look, and I think it added just a little bit to it. So pop the hood, and you can see the 346 pack in there and how that looks. I think it turned out pretty well. I do need to add a brake booster. I'm not sure where I'm going to get that from, but there was not one in the kit, so I'll probably need to do that. You'll notice on the top here that what I did, I built the headliner part here, okay, and then I put another strip right here over the top of that to simulate the actual part that would come forward and move up, and I put a little bit of texture on that to simulate that part of the top. Usually this would go all the way back in, but I wanted it to stick out just enough to show that, well, it's a retractable top. So anyway, the dual sport mirrors on here are, well, they're not a Chrysler option. These are more like the ones that used to come from a company called Cal Custom. I actually had some of these on my Cougar back in the day, and they were a pain because I was always tightening them. But regardless, I had some mirrors like this back on my car in the early 1980s. It's kind of hard to see the interior in the car, but you can kind of get the idea looking through the window that it has those little red stripes, the piping on parts of the interior. It turned out pretty good. And then, of course, the stance on this car, I'm going to put it right there, and you can see that wicked stance that this car has. Just a little bit raised in the back, and these larger tires that really would have been closer to a G50 14. So all in all, I think it turned out pretty darn good. Kind of a nice wicked look and a great addition to my collection. Now, speaking of an addition to the collection, so this kit did have, as you can see, some really neat other options. Some honeycomb rims. It came with some neat decals, and well, me being the kit basher that I am, I had a 1972 Dodge Demon that was a resin kit that I had put together. So it's a resin front end and a resin body. And the cool thing about this particular car is the interior is a race car interior. It has no back seat and very just bare aluminum door panels. And this was a resin piece that I had picked up a few years ago. So I thought that'd be kind of fun to actually make a Demon race car. So I got thinking, these decals here, the Rebel Rouser looks pretty darn cool. You got the red, white, and blue theme going on here. And I thought, well, what if we just paint this Dodge white and then some blue accent and then a red stripe right down the middle. Now this isn't a decal. This is all paint. I had to cut the masks for this stripe myself, and so I put those in, and you can see how that turned out. And a good old Mopar hood scoop from back in the day. Those that remember what a Mopar hood scoop looked like. Now, not only did we use the Mickey Thompson tires that came in this kit and the honeycomb rims that came in the kit, we also used the engine, the 426 Hemi that came in this kit. Remember I said that the 340 was just, or 360, whatever it was trying to be, was terrible? Well, the Hemi wasn't too bad. It comes with a tunnel ram, and I did do a little bit of plumbing on here. I actually put some wires on it, and I plumbed the fuel pump. It does have, not sure if you can see it or not, it has a return spring for the linkage, and on this side here it has the linkage for the dual carbs. You'll notice that it has an MSD spark box here that came from some NASCAR kit that I had, as well as the cool can that I believe actually came from this kit here. So pretty neat looking little engine. I thought it turned out pretty well. And you can see I used some parts from a Duster kit to use as filler in here. This particular one also has traction bars and just some good old open headers on it. So I did put some little pins here for the hood, so the hood will actually fit down over the hood pins if I'm very, very, very careful, and if I'm not, then I'll break them. But yeah, it's pretty good. And there's the stance of that car. What I really like about the Demon is the tail lights. And again, this was one of those areas that I had to mask very carefully and paint. And then I added a fuel shutoff right here on the back, like so many of the street stock cars run. So anyway, kind of a fun addition to this kit is the two figures that come with it. One standing with a trophy, and the other who's seated. They're both wearing 70s clothing. It's great. A fun twofer out of this one particular kit. I think they both turned out pretty darn good considering the age of this kit and the quality when I started. But all in all, I would highly recommend getting this. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this.